All right. So, welcome to the Trade Log Sunday. All right. So, we'll just go over the trades I took this past week, and it's the month of August. It's not really been great, and that's just what it is, right? So, we have to just adjust and adapt, and that is what we are going to do regarding price, of course, right? So let's actually begin the stream, and before that I'll just go quickly over the higher time frame perspective, right? And I also posted this on Twitter as well, right, on X, as I like to call it nowadays. So what we basically expected, and I actually posted this live in real time, was I was seeing that price has expanded quite aggressively, right? And what do I actually see here, right? Just give me a second. All right, perfect. So what I actually see here is previous week's high, right? So we have a clear defined range. So we have a clear defined range right over here. And this is really what I saw on Monday, right? So the previous Monday, what I did see was we had a clear previous week's high and we had a clear previous week's low, right? So we have a clear defined range, and this is your Monday opening price, right? So you know we have a clear low here and a clear high there, right? So if price would take out any of those levels, so in this case it would be Monday took out previous week's high, we are most likely to be bearish at that time, right? That is basically what I was going for, and I told you that if price takes, because price has taken previous week's high, I am more inclined to be bearish and target lower prices, right? It's basically all it was. And price opened, we took out that high, and this was a nice fair value gap which you could target, right? External to internal range liquidity, and eventually price just collapsed to previous week's low, right? A really clean delivery in price on your weekly profile basis, right? That's basically what we had. And you can actually identify this as a range. I know a few traders do that. They want to identify this as a weekly range and try to trade the weekly range high to the weekly range low, but all I see it is as highs and lows and fair value gaps, right? It's pretty simple. Now, why price got here, right? And why did it stop there? It's because this low, right? This low is really important. Why? Because you see that there is a gap below that, right? We have a fair value gap which has not really been filled, right? You see right there, that's a gap. So price pushes through, which means that the gap has been filled all the way through here, right? The rest of the fair value gap is still in play, right? So when price gets there, it's going to give you the reaction of a fair value gap, right? So in that case, we did react quite a bit from there, and that was the end of the week, right? Now, talking about trades, right? There are a couple of trades you could have taken, and the one which I did explain on X, and I'll just go into a bit more detail on this, because that is in line with my swing trading model, all right? So what is that? What does that actually look like, right? So I'm trying to trade the weekly profile range, right? So in this case, we have a nice weekly high, right? So the first and the most important thing always is going to be to mark out your weekly highs and lows, right? And your monthly highs and lows and your daily highs and lows. So you always need to have them marked out. So in this case, we have previous week's high, price take that out. And I told you my bias publicly as well, I'm going to be bearish. So how do you actually get involved in this move, right? Because that actually counts as your entry model. And the entry model is really important, but not as much as your read on price. Okay, so it's actually going to take you more time to learn how to read price rather than trying to get a clear entry model. So in this case, I can show you exactly what it was, and that is going to be your 1 hour fair value gap or your 1 hour CISD, right? Both of them work here pretty well. So we have this clear range high being taken out right here. Price takes out liquidity right over there over at 6 a.m. It's not really in line with the kill zone. Price pushes lower. We have a beautiful fair value gap right there. Okay, so you can literally identify that as a hourly fair value gap, and you can enter right there. Okay, that is the perfect entry if you use fair value gaps as your entry model, right? So that is one thing to keep in mind. Your entry would be here, right? That is ideally what you would do. And you probably target your low resistance all the way here, or the final objective of previous week's low. And that is swing trading in a nutshell, right? Now, what about your trades in terms of your change in state of delivery, right? Because I personally like to use a change in state of delivery. So in this case, we have this large bullish candle right there. So you take the opening price of that candle right over here and you extend that, right? So that will be your CISD. So you can actually enter right over here and you have a better risk to reward. But usually whenever there's an overlapping fair value gap and a CISD, and you do live day trade, so day trades can move very quickly, especially New York session. So I try to take it at the price point which is closest to the entry, right? Which is closest to the current price. So let's say price is here and I see a fair value gap and a CISD, I would prefer to take the fair value gap, right? Now let's say there is a fair value gap above the CISD, right? In that scenario, I would take my entry at CISD and place my stop a bit more higher because I want to be involved in the move rather than miss the move, right? Because most of the time especially if you're doing this for a couple of years, your read on price gets really good, right? You're basically able to read price. All right, it's just going to move here and I just know that. So with that in mind, you should always learn to optimize to be in the trade rather than miss the entire move altogether, right? So that is the overall higher time frame read on NASDAQ. What are my expectations moving forward in the month, right? What do I believe NASDAQ is going to do? So as of now, I have to be bullish, right? Definitely, because we have a beautiful CISD. We have reacted off of a value gap. But the only thing that concerns me is we are really above the monthly open, right? So this is something which I see not a lot of educators talk about, and traders are not really looking at the monthly open. But the monthly open literally works just as your true day open, right? So if your true day open is, if price is moved really far away from your true day open, what do you actually get? You get a nice New York reversal profile, right? Or a London reversal profile. So in this case, the same exact thing applies here. If price moves really quickly and aggressively, as you can see, the fair value gaps show you the aggressive nature in price, then price, when it starts to move towards the monthly open, that would be most ideally what it's going to do, right? So with that in mind, you can actually be a bit more bearish, right? So price above the monthly open, you're going to be bearish, kind of how it works. So what do I actually expect from NASDAQ is going to be bullish, definitely. We have just tapped the CISD once again, and we have reacted quite well. There are a few closures here, great. And what do I see price doing? I would say I would like to see price move higher, of course, but if you actually move to ES, right? You can see there was SMT as well, which pushed price lower and the same monthly opening price. But ES, on the other hand, has taken out liquidity right about here. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that this entire move can be backed by SMT and price will most likely move to lows, right? So if ES is going to move to the lows, then NASDAQ will follow. So this is the SMT I'm talking about. So it's right here. So you have an SMT divergence there. And you move to ES, you can see that this is the SMT here as well, right? You kind of have a small internal SMT as well here on the daily time frame, but this larger SMT is the one to watch, right? So first things first, what I would say is with ES being the stronger pair, I would say I would expect price to get to the 50% of the range, right? That's the first thing. So ES, we could expect lower prices, definitely, but NASDAQ on the other hand looks bullish, right? Because we have actually retraced a bit lower to take out the slow and tap the CISD once again. So you can see that there is a conflicting bias here, right? So we can't really say where price is going. It's not exactly clean. So when price was here at the monthly open, at the monthly fair value gap, I told you all right, it's going to move higher, right? Especially after this closure here, I said, all right, we're just going to move higher. Just watch out for that. And we do have low resistance, so the move can be aggressive, right? And that's what it did. But as of now, it's not clearly one-sided, right? We kind of have both ways going on here. So better to just be out of the market as of now, right? In terms of higher time frames, day trades are always going to be there. Nothing to worry about. But your higher time frame bias, I would definitely go with neutral on NASDAQ and ES, of course. All right. But ES, I would say I'm a bit more bearish until we reach the 50% of this dealing range. And yeah, this is a dealing range. So I would say right about here. So maybe the monthly open. And I do believe this move should be retraced, right? That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. So that is where we're at. And moving on to today's session, right? About the review on your trade logs. So basically I had two trades this week. All right. So both of them were on NASDAQ, and one was a loss and one was a win. It's just the month of August. It is not going to be extremely clean, right? I kind of went through that and I explained in the live streams, of course, that the risk would really be halved, or you would actually just skip this month altogether and come back in the month of September, right? Because the good months are going to be September, October, and November. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the trades did play out pretty well. I would say I was quite surprised to see that it did, especially the win that we had. And there was also a loss on Ethereum as well. All right. So I've kind of added that pretty much after. I was on a short on Ethereum, of course, and I was wrong on the read on crypto. So, which is completely fine. I got the entire top and we rode it all the way below. But the last move, I would say, which is kind of what I'm not good at, where I would expect price to distribute once again lower. We didn't really actually get that, and that was a loss there. All right. So I'll just go over all the trades now. So let's actually begin with NASDAQ, right? So first things first, the draw was bearish and there were two trades, and one was on Tuesday and one was on Wednesday, I believe. All right. So let me just mark out your opening prices for the day, which is going to be right around here on Tuesday, right around here on Wednesday, right? So you all will be able to tell me exactly what the profile is. You'll be able to visually see it, so it's not going to be an issue at all. All right. So first things first, right? So Tuesday, so price pushes lower, and right about here, right? We have a 9:30 candle right there. All right. So great. So this was a trade. All right. So just go here to 12 p.m. so you can actually see what we're actually looking forward to. All right. So this is what it was. So I just opened the charts and I just saw that price has moved extremely lower, right? So we moved all the way through on Monday. We've expanded on Tuesday, of course, and you can see Asia's expanded, right? That was the first thing which put me off. I said, all right, Asia's expanded. It's not really going to be a good trade. And let's see if we actually get what we want to see. And if it is, then we can actually be involved in a trade, right? So I'm just looking for good structure, basically. So we have London session expand, of course, once again, which is not really great, but at 9:30, right? This is what I was looking forward to. So 9:30, what does price do? We really manipulate below this low, right? And this is why I was interested in this trade. We manipulate first, which is fine, right? Manipulation is not really great. And the candle doesn't really close quite well. But I was looking at these equal highs, right? So these highs right around here, that was actually what I was looking forward to. They are really, really good highs and they're equal highs, right? Relative equal highs. So I really did expect price to smash higher, right? We have clear London's range. It's not really clean, of course, because we have expanded. We like to see accumulation, right? And then we expect manipulation and then distribution. So in this case, I expected price to get here as your drawn liquidity, right? So price pushes higher. We have a beautiful change in state of delivery right about here. So we can expect price to move lower and then higher, right? That was my take on price. Price unfortunately stopped me out right around here and just consolidated right after. All right. So we did get a small consolidation. You can see 10 a.m. did the same thing and we did reach the previous week's low as a drawn liquidity, right? So this is a bad read on price, right? Because we did have equal highs, but I did not really take into consideration what price did on your Asia session and London session, of course. All right. So that was Tuesday, which was a loss. And like I said, I do take reduced risk during the month of August, and that was it, right? And the other days, the conditions were not really presented, so I didn't really worry much about them, right? So let's move to Wednesday. So Wednesday was right around here, and this was a win, right? It was a beautiful win on Wednesday. And unfortunately, or actually not unfortunately, it was according to plan that I did want to close this trade pretty quickly. So that is what I did. So this is your 12 p.m., right? So this was your seek and destroy profile on Wednesday, right? Let me actually, make that full screen. Makes it easier to see. So what did price do during London, right? So right about here, London takes out, first it takes out Asia's low, then it takes out Asia's high, right? So it kind of expands right here. So this is your classic seek and destroy profile, right? Seek and destroy, if any of you do not or not aware of it, if London takes out Asia's highs and lows, then New York will most likely take London's highs and lows, right? So we kind of get a broadening formation, right? That's kind of what it means. So retail would see this as some sort of wedge, but we don't really see it that way. We just see it in terms of liquidity, right? So in this case, what did I see? I saw that price has taken out London's high, right? Prior to New York Open, which was not something I did like, but we did get that. So this is when the stream began in the university at 9:15, and I saw this. I opened the charts, I saw this right away, and I realized, all right, we're going to be bearish definitely because we are above the today open, right? Just the same concept I showed you all regarding the monthly open. So I said, all right, we should actually push lower. And where would we actually push lower to? The 50% of this range, right? We have a nice swing low right here. We have a nice swing high right there. So the 50% will be where price will want to get towards. All right. So that's basically what I look forward to. And we just waited for about 15 minutes while we actually went through everything. And that was 9:30 open, right? So what did 9:30 do? We pushed lower, confirming that we have closed below this up close candles, right? Sure, this is going to be a CISD, definitely. But these two up close candles should actually stop price from moving higher, right? And if it's going to move lower, it is going to tap this opening price, right? Exactly that one before moving lower right after. So basically, this is the expectation for the day, right? Right around here, and to the 50% of the dealing range, right? Nothing more. So that is all we wanted to see. So in this case, price taps it beautifully right around here and expands in one candle, right? So this was a trade which I did close in about 3 minutes, right? It was under 3 minutes, and I did close it a bit above here just for the win and to make sure that I ended the week at break even or above, right? That was kind of what I was going forward to or looking forward to. So price actually pushes lower from there, and that is all it's done, right? So I didn't really capture this entire move afterwards. We did crash all the way through to London's low. I was not really interested in it. I was just interested in getting my equity back to break even, right? Because we did take a loss in the previous week, right? So the previous week was a loss. So this week I didn't really want to do any of that, and I just wanted to play it close to the chest. All right, so that ends the week, and that will be the trade log for Sunday. And what I would like to do moving forward is start the weekly expectations sessions back, of course, right, where I go on and explain what price does on Sunday and your expectations for the rest of the week, right? But what I'd also like to do moving forward is to probably conduct your pre-trade streams, right? Your pre-market streams before equities open. What are my expectations for the week? What are my expectations for the session, right? Rather, because I think that would actually be a bit more helpful. So if I can actually tell you that I'm actually going to be bearish for the day, and I will actually probably be taking a short, right? And give you the exact reasons before that, that can actually help you all a bit more moving forward. So that is basically what I've been planning to do. Let's see if I do get the time. I will definitely do that. And for the rest of you, thank you all for joining. And I believe there are no questions for today, which is great. And don't forget to journal, and I will speak to you all probably tomorrow and moving forward, or else it's going to be next Sunday again. All right. So do take care. This is the month of August. Play it safe, play it close to the chest. Don't try to risk a lot more. Your prop accounts are not going anywhere. Your market is not going anywhere. It's just going to get better moving on from the next week forward. All right. So do take care and stay safe. I shall speak to you all then. And thank you all for joining once again. All right. Bye-bye.